I just want to correct some misconceptions from people who seem to think that the fight against stupidity and irrationality is ever going to come to an end. That someday we'll create an intellectual utopia where everyone is rational. Sorry, that's just never going to happen. I've found this a lot lately, quite a bit over on Reddit in fact, where atheists are trying to find an infallible way to deconvert the religious because they're just getting sick and tired of theist stupidity. And I have to tell them that it's never going to happen. Not only because the religious are just not going to change their minds until they decide internally that the facts are more important than their feelings, but because even if we did wipe out all religion off the face of the planet, that doesn't mean that the world would be a perfect place. I'm sorry, that's just not the world that anyone with a clue thinks we ought to be building. It's a fantasy, and we've got enough fantasy already. We need to look at this realistically. And that's why I don't just argue against religion, but against irrationality in general. People are, like it or not, irrational by nature. It's not just religion. Religion is a symptom. It's not just the over-reliance on emotion. That's just a symptom too. We evolved to be irrational. That's something that most people don't seem to understand. We didn't evolve to be intelligent. We're intelligent, at least some of us are, in spite of ourselves. And that's not to say that anyone is better than anyone else inherently, but humans are not very good at setting their emotions aside and just operating on intelligence. We're really bad, by and large, at caring about facts over feelings, at making intelligent decisions that go against our own emotional best interests. We're terrible at that unless we make the concerted effort to muscle those emotions out of the way and pay attention only to the best demonstrated facts and most objective evidence that we can muster. But so many people, especially atheists, want to pretend that religion, once we get rid of religion, everything will be fine. Yeah. Sorry, but no. You'll still get the new agey crystal-wearing morons, the anti-vaxers, the flat earthers, the enviro-wackos, all of these people and many, many, many more groups who are funneling their inherent irrationality into positions that have little or nothing to do with religion. I mean, we have huge swaths of our political ideologies predicated entirely on emotion on both sides of the aisle. If somehow, magically, all religious belief just went poof tomorrow, it wouldn't get rid of any of that. This isn't just about religion. It has to be about the deeper underlying cause, and that cause is buried deep in our genes. It's something that's not going to go away without a fight, and most people have no interest whatsoever in fighting it because it makes them feel bad. And evolution has made it really hard for us to do things that make us feel bad. So, if you want a really bad analogy, we're fighting an uphill battle while carrying half a ton of sandbags in deep snow. This is not a fight that will be easy to win, nor will it be quick to finish. In fact, we'll wind up fighting against the vast majority of humanity because we're effectively telling them that evolution screwed us all up. And to a large extent, it's done exactly that. It's like Morpheus in the Matrix. The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we're trying to save. But until we do, these people are still part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. And that's really what we're up against. And I know that sounds to some people like utter insanity, like we're fighting against human nature itself, because that's really what we're doing. We're having to look at evolution and realize that while evolution can get you so far, there comes a point where, at least on some fronts, it's doing more harm than good. That now that we're capable of overriding evolutionary pressures, we need to make the decision to do so, to fight back against a system that is no longer making us better. It's holding us back. And people don't get that. Mostly, they don't want to get that. This is not a fight that we're going to win anytime soon. Certainly not in our lifetimes, and probably not in the lifetimes of our children or our grandchildren. We are going against millions of years of biological programming. It made us pattern-seeking animals in order to protect us from predators. But today, we really have no real predators, and this pattern-seeking ability makes us see things like Jesus on toast or faces on the moon. Our brains, which evolved to keep us safe from the dangers of the world, now construct elaborate fantasies because we see things that aren't there, imagine things that don't exist, and try to make sense of it without recognizing how absurd it all really is. And it really is absurd if you think about it. Like it or not, this is a fight that we will always face to some degree or another, at least until those evolutionary holdovers either go away on their own, which is very unlikely, or we devise a way to change them ourselves. But in the meantime, we have to survive and live our lives to the fullest, and I don't know that we can do that with half of humanity having imaginary friends and the other half carrying around crystals. There comes a time when we have to say enough is enough, and I'm at that point. It's an uphill battle to be sure, but it's a battle that we need to fight, and we need to be willing to see this thing through for the long haul. It isn't enough to just shrug our shoulders and say, live and let live, because the irrational people on the other side don't think that. They're not just going about their business, entirely unconcerned with whether or not you bow down to their gods. In fact, if you don't pay deference to their beliefs, at least in some parts of the world, you could wind up very, very dead. This is not acceptable. It should have never been acceptable in the first place, and I'm going to fight it to my dying breath. I might not succeed, but if I can change the mind of even a single person who will take up the banner and fight in my stead, it will have been worth it. It's a long fight, but it's probably the only one really worth fighting. Who's with me?